Yes. Question 8. How does it feel that your initial vision has become a reality and you are helping to document slash preserve history?
That feels fantastic. It feels fantastic to be preserving this history, to be recording it, to be preserving it, to be making the case, just enabling this to come out in some coherent form, just to say, this is what happened. This is what happened in Bristol, actually, as well, because Bristol was always a centre for the disabled people's movement and was one of the really pioneering areas. And I feel very proud of being in Bristol and living in Bristol. And so to say, yeah, this was something that happened here. Yeah, I just feel really proud of it. And in some ways, if I never do another oral history project again, I'll be happy, because this one is so important to me, so important to wider people, so important to try and get these messages out.
Question 9. Where do you see this project going in the future?
Ooh, that's a really, really good question, actually. So we have funding to do the project for till June, July next year. There's already been a conversation. I've already had a conversation with Bristol Museum Service about possibly doing an exhibition in the M Shed as on one of their kind of public, one of the galleries on the landing, one of their people galleries, and that would be beyond the end of that period. That would be possibly the end of next year, if not a bit further on. Where does it go in future? What I would like to see would be the members of the research group in particular carrying on with a level of activism, not necessarily through this project, although, as I said, every time I've ever done an oral history project, you finish it up, you think, that's it, now pulling it all together, and then all these other people come along and say, actually, I did something really interesting and relevant, and I want, so there's something about the research group deciding what you guys want to do, and then I'll look at what we do with that. I mean, meeting on Zoom, there's a lot of potential if we carry on meeting virtually, because we don't need to pay for hall room hire, and we don't need to pay for transport and all that. So that's, there's more potential to keep going as a group. I suppose what I'd really like to see would be members of the research group becoming involved with other organisations and being inspired by the project and by the stories that they're gathering, that you're all gathering, to think, actually, you can get involved with different organisations and carry on that legacy. That would be, in lots of ways, my best ever outcome.
Question 10. What were you doing prior to being the founder of the For Gaining Our Future project?
So I've been working as a freelance consultant, working with different charity organisations for a really long time. And for about the past 7 or 8 years, I've been doing a lot of oral history work and work with heritage projects. So before this, I was working with other heritage projects. I was actually doing something about homelessness. Well, no, it wasn't about homelessness. It was about housing, the history of council housing. And I do just go from project to project because I'm freelance, and that's kind of what I do. So I'm not attached to any organisation. I just see things that I think would be interesting to do and try to do them. So yeah, and it kind of, I mean, the project is actually very short term. It is only just over 1.5 years long, and then, but as I say, what I'd really like to see is a bit further along, when we've gathered more of the stories, just thinking about what each individual does, as a member of the research group, what do you all do next? Or where do you go from here with this kind of awareness and knowledge that you're gaining about the history of the movement? Bit like, you know, you do all that already with Wessel, and you do it with lots of other things as well, Aaron. So, but I'd like to see people taking that forward, and then looking at what's whether or not you do need any support from the project, and or from the people involved with the project, and what we do to meet that longer term.
Question 11. What is your greatest achievement and memorable inspirational moment so far throughout your career?
Throughout my career, gosh, my career is really long. The most memorable, I think in some ways I feel that this is actually my greatest achievement. You know, as I say, if I don't ever do any other oral history projects, if I don't do anything else like this again, I'll be really happy, because I think to have done something with this level, this scope, that's probably going to be good enough for me, actually. I've done a lot of different things that I feel really proud of in the past. This one is very much up there with one of the most exciting and inspirational things that I've done. Gathering the inspiration from all of you as well. It's just great. So this is probably one of them.
Regarding the future, how does it feel that you will be regarded as a world-renowned historical figure thanks to the Forgaining Our Future project?
I think you've given me too much credit there, Aaron, actually. I don't think I will be. I think one of the things that's been so inspiring about the project is reading everyone else's transcripts and hearing about all of the things, you know, the actions and activities and the achievements of the people that you're all interviewing. Love reading those transcripts. They're just amazing. You know, it's just, I mean, that's where the inspiration comes from. So I'm just a very small cog in bringing this out into the open. I mean, I think what Daisy does with her blog is far more influential and should be far better known than anything that I do as the person who coordinates this project, to be honest. I think the information on her blog, on her website, just fantastic at bringing out all of these, just bringing out stories and giving them a perspective. So yeah, so I think that's a really flattering question, but I don't think I deserve it, really. So yeah, thank you though. I hope the project becomes world renowned, but not me necessarily.
Question 13. How does it feel, along with preserving history for future generations, the Forgaining Our Future project is also educating, inspiring, and impacting the lives of so many people in a positive way?
Gosh, do you know, I think you've just absolutely summed up what the project is all about. I mean, that is exactly it. And it's great. I mean, it does feel so exciting to be sharing this history, to be sharing these stories. And I think what I want us to do when we start analysing the information is really looking at the changes. You know, you think about the changes to language that have happened over the period, what, it's about 40 years, 50 years, about 40 years, isn't it, from the 80s to now, or the 80s, it's in that period of time. And I think because the history is going to actually be produced by a group of young people, you'll be able to get it into a language that is accessible to other young people. So whereas if I was doing it, or if other people like me were doing it, or if the older activists were all putting it together themselves, we'd all be using, I would say, the wrong language, actually. so what's exciting is the fact that you'll be doing it. The whole notion of having a research group of younger disabled people who are going to work out how to tell that story in a way that's going to make most sense for a really wide audience. That is fantastically exciting. And I think you have in that question, about preserving the history, but also educating, inspiring, and impacting on people's lives. That's what we want to achieve. That's a brilliant summary of it. Actually, I might use it in sometimes when I'm writing stuff or writing to people saying this is what we're trying to do. Can I use that question? Can I use those words? Because they're great. So yeah, that's that. It just feels very exciting.